Hello, gorgeous people. It is Coach K here on day 2 of Adventures with Coach K, coming to you every day with inspirational stories of adventure from incredibly wonderful, exciting, interesting people. And I can't wait to bring on my beautiful guest. Here she comes, my friends. Special guest today, Kim.
Hello.
How
So
are
good
you?
to see you. I'm doing good. I love your outfit. It's so colorful and bright.
Thank you, my dear. I think this feels normal. I need the colors. I don't even realize I'm wearing them, and it's just automatic.
Well, they look great on you.
Thank you. You are a Canadian sister, aren't you?
I am. I am. I'm in LA, but I am Canadian.
And you're hailing from Calgary? Is that right?
Edmonton. Edmonton. Yeah.
Well, I gave a little intro here. This is day 2. Kim is
Yeah.
day 2 of Adventure Stories with Coach K. And today is an adventure, I tell you. So much of an adventure that we need 2 parts. So
Yes.
today, maybe we need 3. Because women are so interesting and complex, and they have a whole world in one area of their body, which we're going to get into today. So, my friends, part 1, the topic is healing the womb. And what better way to bring it in than Kim Billick, who now lives in LA. And she just brought out her first book.
And I actually have it here with me.
She's an author, everybody.
I know. I'm like, I get to call myself an author.
Oh my God, like this is the adventure right here.
Yeah. Yeah, it is like it's as I was saying to you when we were messaging each other last week when or even before I released it, I was like, oh, it's a journal, and people are like, no, you got to call it a book.
Yeah.
And you wrote in it, and it's like you're writing, so you're an author. And I was like, oh yeah, I had to sit with that for a moment. I'm like, I guess yes, I'm an author. So getting like all the congratulations and the shares and everything, yes, or last week when I released it, I was having a hard time at first to like give myself that much acknowledgement. I was like sitting there, and then I had to actually sit down, and it took some effort to celebrate it.
Well,
I was
girl,
just like, it's a book, no big deal.
because when I saw that, when anyone comes out with something like a book, automatically I see the book, but I also feel everything that went into it. Like I can't imagine what went into it, but the moments of inspiration, maybe in the middle of the night, all the experience you had, the ups and downs, thinking it over, then the doubt, then thinking it over, all the stuff. It's
Well,
like perfect
I'm
adventure.
laughing. I'm laughing because how this book came to be is an adventure. So I went to Austin with to meet Dominique DeVita, and I did
Oh,
my first yeah, and I did my first mushroom ceremony with her. And in that ceremony, I got the download to write this book because right before the ceremony, I had just held a workshop, and all these women were asking about journaling. So I got this download to write this book, and then I go home back to LA, and then I went back to Austin for Preston's birthday, and I stayed with Nana, and she was just telling me about her retreat, and I'm telling her about this book, and she's like, can you have this book done for the retreat and gift it to the women? And I was like, that was like my push, and I was like, yes, I could get it done. And then I got COVID, and thankfully I wasn't very sick. And I remember when I got it, I was like, there's no effing way this thing is gonna bring me down. And I sat down and wrote this book. That was the message I was getting, to sit down and create. So I was stuck at home. So I basically wrote this in that time.
so did you have it done before the retreat?
So I had everything written, and this is part of the adventure and the learning thing too. My girlfriend designed it all, and we have worked so many times together and we worked so well, but this time there was a little bit of miscommunication. And then with the production and everything, our publisher, it wasn't done to look like this. I got it printed here in LA and it was coiled and it wasn't, you know, quite as nice as this, but it was done. It was my soft release. And then when I came back, but even that, like, I thought it'd be ready as soon as I came back, you know, by end of October, and it is now middle of December. And I just released it last week. So that was a big learning curve. Like, yes. And this goes to anything in life. I think, you know, you want this goal and you want this done and you have this date, but sometimes obstacles come in the way. And you get to look at that and still, yes, trust me, I actually, what we're going to get into a bit more, I was a month, or no, not a month, a week late on getting my period because I was so stressed out about this. Yes. And so, you know, I got to look at this and I was like, okay, this is taking too much space in your life. You get to take a step back and just surrender that it will be ready in perfect time. And it could be like that, you know, if you're on a weight loss journey or you're trying to like get that position at a job. Like, I know you want it so bad, but sometimes wanting it that bad is pushing it further away. And as I kind of just surrendered with it and just like went with the flow, it kind of just, I found things just went more naturally. And
So
it's here.
I didn't imagine we're going to start this talk with this, but it's actually perfect because there's so many people that have an incredible book in them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the not surrendering to what's already there, I think, that's holding them back. And what you're saying, it's a beautiful adventure. What you just described is putting this thing together, as long as we don't expect it to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Right? It might mean COVID for a couple of weeks. It might mean a rough draft before, like, it's, this story juices me like big time, even though that's, because this is the core of what we're talking about, is a lot of what's in this book, right?
Yes, yes. So in this book, it's called the Womb Wisdom Journal. And what it is, so I describe at the beginning of it, like there is like a reading section here. I'll just, you know, there actually is a little bit of reading. And it's describing the 4 phases of our cycle. A lot of women aren't even fully aware of this. So like people think of our women and men think of our cycles just when we bleed. But our cycle is every single day of the month, every single day of our lives. We are in a cycle. So we go through the 4 phases, follicular or pre-ovulation, ovulation, your luteal, also known as pre-menstruation, and then menstruation. So as we move through these 4 cycles, our hormones naturally shift. Estrogen goes a little high, goes higher, testosterone goes higher as we get closer to our ovulation. And then once we ovulate, those drop, progesterone goes up. And this is if you have a healthy cycle. And I'm kind of just giving a quick background. But as our hormones are shifting, our energy is also shifting. So I always say this, women, we are not linear like men. We have ebbs and flows. So we get to give ourselves permission to feel different on different days that you're going to feel more outward and you want to be more social, and then days when you actually want to be alone. There's reasons behind this. And with that, like, there's perfect times to host a workshop or pitch that deal if you're in business, or try something new with your kids. Around ovulation is when you have your most patience. So I know, say potty training, for example, I know that's more than a week long, but that might be a good time to initially start it when you have more patience. Whereas closer to our bleed, we don't have as much patience. We don't think as clear, but we are more intuitive. So I had this conversation with a close girlfriend. She's thinking of quitting her job and moving into retirement. You know, she's in her menopausal time, premenopause. And I was like, okay, you're still getting your bleed and you're about to get it. Bleed on this decision. That's a good time to turn inward and make these decisions. If you could wait until your bleed, sometimes you've got to make a decision, you know, a little quicker. So this is the beautiful thing about our cycle. There's magic and power with each phase. So I explain all that in the journal. And then I have daily prompts. So it's a three-month journal. It's going to take you through 3 of your cycles. So you get to really connect with your womb, to your body, to your cycle. And there's daily prompts every single day. And then there's also certain prompts for each phase as you hit them.
I've been watching you a little bit because I'm, you would call sort of perimenopause, and I've got funky periods and things like that. But I think I'm probably like a lot of women in the sense that I never think of the cycle, like my whole life. And you can probably, maybe you went through the same thing, having amenorrhea and having periods that are never steady. I never knew it was when it was going to come. So I never knew what phase I was in.
Yeah.
But I also didn't really know about the phases, never paid attention. I think for most women, especially masculine, dominating, like, get it done. They're not thinking, okay, now I'm in this phase, unless they're trying to get pregnant or something. Now I'm in this phase, and I never looked at stuff. I just thought, oh, I'm going to bleed. And that's when that's when I feel the most vulnerable. That's when I feel the most agitated.
Mm-hmm.
Is during that, because of the blood, right? Not because, maybe because of hormones too, but
yeah. And well, the agitation and, maybe not having as much tolerance for people, it is connected to our hormones, because that's when our hormone levels are lowest. So our estrogen kind of gives us that, it's our sexy hormone. It makes us feel sexy. It makes us feel more confident, but it's at its lowest point then, right? So you're going to not feel as outward during that time.
but it's so interesting that it's like this whole library in that area, and you can bring it out to the world, because that's something that I never really looked into or knew was really there. But connecting to the feminine more than I have been the last number of years has changed my whole world. But what we're talking about here is also another level.
Yes. And you even mentioned the masculine. So I'm very much in my masculine energy. I'm more aware to move into my feminine now. Like when I lost my period, I was in the bodybuilding world. That's very masculine. And I wasn't thinking about my period much either. I was like, okay, I got it. I don't got it. But when I lost it for 7 months, I was like, hey, something's wrong. Like, some women don't care. And I'm like, no, this is my body speaking to me. And so I went on the healing journey of what I do with my clients now, all natural, through diet, looking at your exercise. A lot of times you got to pull back from it. But a huge, huge thing is stress management and just really tuning into your body. So like I was saying with this whole journal thing, I was a week late, and it's because of stress. Like I knew that's exactly what it was. So I'm like, okay, how can I like to use this word, how could I put my body into its calm container? What do I get to do? Just so my body knows it's safe and it can relax. So once I had lost my period, that's when I became so passionate about this stuff. And it just became more and more, it got deeper, like learning about these cycles and really connecting with that. And for the women that are in their masculine, connecting with your cycle, I know may not sound like the most masculine thing, but a lot of these women, I'm assuming, are working women, business women. And when you connect to it, it can make you even more successful in the business world. So then you'll know when to do, like I said, have these big presentations, when to pitch your deals, when to ask for a raise, when to hold big meetings, when to do your audits. There's...
Do you follow that yourself in your life? Like, do you?
I do. And you know what? So I'm about to start my bleed probably tomorrow. And this weekend I was like sitting in traffic and I was feeling irritable. And then I had some plans, and I was like, why am I feeling like this? And then I like counted back, and I was like, oh, it's because I'm 4 days from getting my period. I'm like, I'm not meant to be around all these people. And I was supposed to meet, I had loose plans with somebody, not definite plans, because I'm not one to like bail last minute. I had loose plans with someone, and I was just like, hey, I'm going to be very honest. I'm about to get that time of the month. I want to be more by myself. I said, let's connect, next week. And that's exactly what I did. And I don't know what was happening yesterday, but I had like 4 people. I'm about to move to Florida, by the way. So people are trying to see me before I leave.
Another adventure you're throwing on us.
Another adventure, and I'm driving. I'm so excited for this adventure.
Even road trip.
I'm all about adventures. But yeah, I had all these people asking me like to see me or do this, and do you want to host a workshop together? And I was like, I said like 4 hard no's yesterday. I was like, I'm at my capacity, and this is where I'm at. And so, and I was like, it's because I know I just need to and get to be alone right now and more with myself.
I love it. I love it. Kim, I'm going to bring this up because I think it doesn't just apply to me, but it applies to a lot of women now. There's a lot of women. I talked to you about cyst.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of women that I talk to that also have them or have had them is unbelievable. Like, not just the regular ones that pop away and go away on their own, but people that have dealt with these issues, endometriosis or cysts. Is this
fibroids is a big one too?
Fibroid, my friend as well as fibroid. Is this just a normal thing that women go through, or is this our body energetically showing us something, like getting our attention? What's going on here? Like, why are we filling up with cysts? And you know what I mean? As I go in for my operation in 2 days.
Yeah. So, and sending you so much love and like good healing energy your way with that too. Did you get a date yet? Or I know it's sometime this week.
2 days I go in.
In 2 days. Okay. Yeah. Sending you some good energy. And I know you'll have speedy recovery.
I'm going to have to get one of those journals to write in.
Yeah. I'd love. Well, you're in Austria, right? Oh, it'll be on Amazon soon. It will be on Amazon soon. So you'll be able to get it internationally. But we can talk about that. So to your question, this is my opinion. Mm-hmm. I think any type of, it could be menstrual cramps, it could be missing periods, it could be heavy bleeds, it could be cysts, it could be whatever you describe. I personally think none of this is normal. As women, we are not meant to live in pain. We are not meant to live in discomfort just because we are women and we have a menstrual cycle. Mm-hmm. If you are getting any type of symptom, any kind of signs, whether it's physical, emotional, it's your body speaking to you. And I know it's very easy to get distracted by things, whether it's literally taking a Tylenol. Some people smoke some weed, have a glass of wine, get caught up in social media. It could be anything just to distract you so you don't have to pay attention to what your body's saying to you. So I think it really is your body trying to speak to you. Mm-hmm. And just, yes, there is more and more of this happening. And there again, this is what I believe. It's just what our society and our world kind of is at in regards to processed foods, not eating as many, whole foods, mm-hmm. Higher stress levels. Like, nowadays women aren't just at home with the children. They're working and they're, wanting to do things that they enjoy doing, being in fitness classes, still having a social life. Like, it's just all this stuff being put on you. This is another huge thing is outside of the food we are eating, what are you putting on your body? I think compared to men, especially as women, we like all these fragrances and stuff, whether it's lotions, perfume, hair stuff, getting your nails done. All of that has some type of chemical in it, especially if there's a smell to it, unless it's getting it sent from oils, essential oils.
Yeah, yeah.
And then even the tampons and pads that we're using. So looking at all these things, environmental too. Like I'm in LA, there's a lot of pollutants here compared to, you know, my farm back in Alberta type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So just
Mm-hmm.
looking at all these things. And then this is a huge thing that I think doesn't get talked about is the emotional stuff. Like with fibroids and endometriosis too, I have studied and learned, and some people may not like me saying this, but some of this stuff starts to manifest, and there is a connection between how are you as a woman not fully expressing your true desires, what you really want to create in this world, and how you are living your reality. It's like this block, and then it creates it starts manifesting in your life, and you get these growths. So if you have your cysts or your fibroids, or maybe even more of a growth of your endometriosis on your left side, is it more feminine energy that you're not tapping into? Or did you have a trauma that's connected to feminine energy? If it's on the right side, is it connected to masculine energy? So some of the work too that I do is people, this is a little out there, it's called yoni de-armoring. So it's actually going into the vagina and doing like trigger points with a crystal wand, or you can use your finger, and it's to release this energy, because it's just like there's foot reflexology, we have genital reflexology. So we could release emotions that are in our organs. So liver holds on to anger, our heart holds on to guilt and shame. So there's so many layers to this stuff that I think, especially if you go into your doctor, they're not going to talk to you about.
Yeah, it's just so interesting because for someone that, and I think there's a lot of women in my shoes too, being an athlete for most of my life, my immune system is so good, so I don't, and I eat very healthy, so I don't tend to get sick, almost never. But when I do have something, it is in this area. Bladder infections. Now with the cysts, and there's so many women with bladder infections, and so I dove deep energetically into what is it with the help of someone else. Why is this reoccurring? And it would always reoccur the most, Kim, right before an event, right before I go to compete. A number of times the infection would show up, and
Interesting.
and I'd say, interesting, what are you trying to tell me? So I would say to body, you know what we got to do? We got to go do this thing over here.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's numb it, or take what and do this, because you can't come right now. Look at what I got to do. Is the inside going on? So my pattern, even though being somewhat healthy, stayed the same because I wasn't really listening. I was doing my thing, which is positive in my life, my passion. But it's also very stressful on the body. But I balance it out and say, well, it's my passion. I love it. So my body should always follow along. Right? And
I'm laughing because I can relate. It's the same thing with the bikini world where I was at.
And with the cyst, I've known about this for years, but I kept putting it off, and I kept putting it off, and I kept putting it off. And now it's got my attention more than ever. And I so believe that about the body. It does everything it can to, hello, I'm down here.
Yeah.
You know, and give us the lesson, you know, but we have to take the time to, or I have to take the time to, like, listen to what it is. And as much as I'm much more balanced with the energies now, it's the feminine energy really milking that. And then coming out of surgery, you have to, like, I can't do that much. It's the talking about, right?
Yeah.
Book too, it's the surrendering to what's the opportunity here, and not always playing the same tape. And so that's the messages I got, is it's okay to let go of those old patterns. It's okay, but there's so much security in that, or identification in those things, a lot of those things, right? And so it's a complex, it's an adventure, a process. Okay, well, how do I make it where this doesn't come up again?
Yes.
What's the environment where it doesn't come up again? So yeah, anything else for you to add on what you're talking about there about the bladder?
I was gonna say, I just loved what you shared with that, and because you focus a lot on like the emotional and the mindset, and it's so powerful, and I just think it gets forgotten about so often. You know, it's like, oh, here, just go take the birth control pill, or you know, women that are in premenopause or menopause, like just go take estrogen tablets or progesterone cream or something. But like, what else is underneath that? Like, let's get to the root cause. Why is this reoccurring, right? So another thing that I have studied, and I could say I witnessed in my personal life with someone in my family, is recurrent bladder infections is connected to being pissed off. Interesting, right? You take a piss and you're pissed off, right? So, sorry?
I've heard this too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like, where are you not expressing yourself? Where are you holding anger? Where are you upset about? Or what are you upset of? And do you get to speak to that person? Do you get to release that? If you are continuing to get these bladder infections. And then, of course, I mean, there is the physical stuff, you know, like making sure you're cleaning yourself properly when you're bathing and, you know, peeing after sex and things like that. But like the emotional aspect of it is like, where am I not speaking my truth, and where am I pissed off, or who am I pissed off at? Are you in a relationship? Are you in a not unhappy marriage? You know, and you're just like in this cycle.
It's
you get to have that conversation.
It's a whole world down there, isn't it, Kim? Like
it really is. And it's on so many levels. Like, I think of women that are going through fertility journeys as well and having difficulty getting pregnant. Like, I have talked to women who, you know, are having miscarriages or just having a hard time conceiving. But as I'm speaking to them, they're like, I'm all effed up down there. And I'm like, if you're speaking to yourself like that, how is your womb going to feel love to support another human? So these little things, and think back to like how you're culturally or in your family, like how were you celebrated for your first period? How were you brought up to think of like women, you know, being a mother? You know, there could be these energy blocks that you get to move through and look at outside of food and exercise. I say that's always a superficial layer.
And how, I mean, so with the menopause thing, do you believe women can just go through that age without feeling any so-called menopausal, like where they can just feel normal?
So I'll admit this, I don't work with a ton of women in the menopausal ages, or menopausal age, but this is what I think and believe. I'm sure, because our body's naturally shifting, right? It's no different than us feeling maybe a little more achy when we wake up in the morning, as you know, because I'm as an occupational therapist, I work with seniors, right? So I don't want to say it's normal to be in pain every day, but you know, you may feel this shift, right? You may feel more vaginal dryness. You may feel that your mood is up and down as your hormones are shifting. I think you get to give yourself permission and be like, okay, this is where I'm at. But then also look at it and be like, okay, so what shifts and changes do I get to make in my life? Like, do I have more vitamin E? Do I add more, you know, vitamin E foods, you know, that helps with vaginal dryness? Okay, I'm a little more moody now. What's triggering me? What's making me more moody? What makes me happy? What do I get to be around? Like, and you know, there is like, I think society puts this, oh, women are in their menopausal, like they're drying out, they're getting old and all this stuff. But if you study it and you look at it, like this is like the crone, like the wise woman, you know, there's just so much knowledge and wisdom that already you know and that your body knows. So if you actually take the time to connect with that, there's so much empowerment in that. And so like looking at it from a positive perspective, you know, and just really, I think this is a great time, you know, if you have kids, usually they're a bit older, you don't need to watch them as much. Like, take care of you now. Go for that massage. Go do what you want to
Yeah.
do, right? So just give yourself permission to really honor your body as you go through that. So yes, you may notice these things, but as you were saying with your cyst and like with your running, like you were getting the warning signs, but you were ignoring it. So once you start getting these warning signs, address them, and yes, go to your doctor, see where your hormones are at and what's really going on. You know, I get my hormones still checked every year, even though I feel normal and healthy, but I just like to see where I'm at. And so get your hormones checked, and then, like I said, find someone that can support you to move through this in a holistic, natural way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Whether it's a coach like myself or Chinese medicine, like I used acupuncture and Chinese herbs to help me get my period back. There's Ayurvedic medicine. I mean, there's naturopathic doctors. There are so many things nowadays that you can move through this and transition through this, I think, with less symptoms, less stress, discomfort, and more naturally.
I love it, girlfriend. Now, before I ask you the last thing, anyone that's joined us here, because there's quite a few there, if anybody has any questions or comments, drop them in the chat, and because we're going to sum it up in about 3 minutes. So Kim, now that you have your book out and you're a sexual, you're an empowerment coach and helping women one-on-one and in group, what's the biggest message that you want to get out there? Like, whether it's to women, men, or both, what is the movement from your heart? What do you want to ripple out there?
Yeah, so this is what I always say, and this is what I got to learn through my own adventure, is I truly believe that as women, we could be badasses in all areas of our life when we really connect to our bodies. And then, of course, our hormones are in alignment as well. But with that, in this connection, is just knowing that we can't do everything at once. It's like prioritizing. Like we're going to put a little more in one area and pull back in another. And it's like puzzle pieces. You're just moving things around, right? So I truly believe, for any woman listening, that you have the strength within you to do whatever you desire, whether it is to run that ultra marathon, to do that bikini competition, to write a book, to start a business, to have a child, whatever it is you're wanting to create. You have that strength, you have that power within you. It's just really connecting to your own power, to your own womb. And our womb is more powerful than I think most women realize. I always say this, we can create humans, us women. And even if you don't want to, like I'm single right now and I don't have a child, even if you don't want to have children, that energy that we create humans, we could create anything.
I love that. Oh, and it's interesting. There's a lot of men here listening to this too. So of course they're going to benefit.
Yes,
by
they
understanding more. Right?
I'm just laughing because I've been asked to be on 5 podcasts after releasing this book, and 4 of them are hosted by men, and one in particular is a predominant male audience. So I think, men, by you understanding our cycles, you're going to understand your partners better, your wife, your girlfriend, and even if you have daughters. I mean, your adolescent daughters, you may understand why they're going through these mood shifts, especially, you know, if they're just getting their cycles, their hormones are even a little bit more up and down. And then you could understand how to support them instead of just being like, oh, she's crazy or she's PMSing. Maybe you could actually support her, right? And I know this always catches guys' attention too, but when you understand our cycles, this can improve your sex life too.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
That catches their attention.
You know what? I love this. We could go anywhere with this topic.
Oh, for sure.
I appreciate you, girl. I honor you for putting this book together and sharing your adventure. Go out. We're going to post the book here in the chat afterwards as well. And any questions, guys, post it afterwards once I post it on my site, and then Kim will come back and answer it. But this is a girlfriend. I love what you did. You are powerhouse as well as all you other women out there.
Yes.
Powerhouses.
Yes.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for having me on here today. I love having this conversation. It was so nice to connect with the Canadian sister here.
Sister, we're going to do it again, part 2 coming your way, and message as well what you want to hear more of in the chat. Once I post this, message what you want to dive, what part you want to dive more of, because this is kind of a general over everything. And then we can come back at you with some real juice, right?
Yes. Yes. And men too. If you got questions, put those questions in there. I'll be looking at the comments for sure.
Beautiful. Everybody have yourself a beautiful, adventurous day. Peace out from Austria to LA.
And wherever you are. See you.
Wherever you are. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Terry. Mwah.
Thanks, Kim. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.